engineer at NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory. It is one of the NASA centers here in the US, and I've been working here since the last 4.5 years. I did my undergrad in India, so I was a electronics and communications engineer, and then I straight went to the US and I did my master's in space systems engineering from University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. And right after my graduation, I was hired with JPL, and I've been working here since then. And I was really amazed by the previous speakers and the way they steered the conversation towards the future technologies, the current technologies, and how they're being fused with the current world, and how they're really affecting our day-to-day lives. And so in my today's presentation, I just wanted to show you how we've really infused some of these new technologies in space systems, and how they've enabled us to explore the world from Earth to Mars and even beyond Mars. All right, so I see that I have the permissions to share. So let me quickly go ahead and share my screen. Okay, awesome. All right, so so let's talk about the space systems for Earth, Mars, and beyond. So I would first like to begin with these two pictures. These two pictures are of a pale blue dot. The picture on the left is clicked by Voyager 1 spacecraft that was built in 1970s by NASA, and it clicked a picture of this pale blue dot in 1990 from almost 6 billion kilometers far from Earth. And the picture on the right is of the same pale blue dot, except that it was shot in 2013 by the Cassini spacecraft, again built by NASA. If I have already given you the hint, you guys might already know that this pale blue dot is nothing else but our little Earth in this gigantic universe, and how space systems have really enabled us to explore things beyond Earth, to explore things that lie beyond our solar system, and that have been helping us in really understanding the origins of life, and how the dust of speck, how we all originate and how we are evolving in this universe. Fun fact about Voyager 1 spacecraft, it was built in 1970, so you can imagine it was a few years ago. This spacecraft is still functioning, and it has reached interstellar space. It has crossed our solar system boundaries, and it's still functioning. So it's an engineering marvel, and you can imagine the amount of hard work, the amount of technology, the kind of engineering skills that were put in back in 1970 that is still helping the scientists of today in helping understand the universe and the Earth. So that leads to my next slide, which is what really goes into space exploration. So there are three main pillars that help in exploring space. The first is science, which is really the bread and butter of this whole space exploration thing. We're all asking the one same question: how did we origin? Like, how did we actually come into being? So it's really about science. We want to understand the atmospheric composition, the astrobiology, the astrophysics of the different planetary bodies, and the geology that they consist of, and if they can actually sustain life on them. The second pillar is engineering. So in order to achieve science, you need to have some engineering to be done in order to enable or in order to detect some sort of science on any planetary body that you want to visit. And in order to achieve science, we need technology. So it's really the fusion of technology and science that we engineered together in order to make space systems. You use future technologies, like some of the technologies that you heard in the previous conversation, are really being infused into space systems in order to explore the lands that we've not explored before. Because unlike on Earth, where you've seen a few systems and you can learn from them, you can learn about how the behaviors of the human mind works, how the behaviors of some of the other elements on Earth work. We are not aware of some of these elements on other planetary bodies. And so we're really working on infusing some of the other AI or machine learning technologies that can be used for exploring places beyond Earth. I just wanted to quickly give an overview of what goes into developing a space system. You begin with a mission concept and architecture, so you have an idea, you have a science goal in mind that you want to go and explore the geological content, the climate, the weather, or just the basic ingredients that make an environment of a planetary body. So you think of a mission concept and architecture, and then you actually start building the mission system design and think about the different elements that you want to put in order to enable that mission. Then you work into system integration, testing, and launch. So this is where the rubber meets the road. That's where you actually start building the spacecraft. You start enabling the technologies that you were preparing. So this is where the engineering comes into role, and uh, you really want to make sure that the science and the mission that you're trying to achieve, which was in the first step, actually are being implemented. And then you have the mission operations, which is after you've launched and after your spacecraft or your rocket is on its way to its destination. How does it function? What are the kind of things that you want to achieve? How do you think about the sequence of operations that you want to achieve with that system? This is an example of what goes into mission concept and architecture. So you begin with the subject. I'll take Earth, for example. You want to monitor fires. So, for example, right now I'm in California. We have extreme wildfire situation going on over here, and some of our satellites have been extremely helpful in providing live data about the fires and how to protect ourselves and how to get the evacuation notices on time, or just the warnings on time, so that we're well prepared for any sort of situation. So you think about what exactly you want to focus on. Then you think about what orbit or constellation you want your satellite to work in. So if it's an Earth orbit, then you know the altitudes within the Earth atmosphere and above Earth's atmosphere. And then if you want to achieve interplanetary science, and you go to the different you try to navigate your path through the different orbits beyond Earth. Then you have the space element, which is the actual hardware. So this is where the engineering concept comes in. You have the payload, which is really the instruments that is going to perform science for you. Then you have the space element, which are the different kind of subsystems, like your computer, your mechanical element, your electrical elements, that all fuse in together to form your space system. Then you have the launch element. You obviously need a vehicle to carry you or to carry your spacecraft to your destination. So you need to work on a launch element. Then you have the ground element, which is really important because you need to establish a communication link between your spacecraft and the people, the mission team, which is on ground on Earth. So you need to understand the communication link that needs to be established between the spacecraft computer and the computer on the Earth. Then you have the mission operations. So this is when the tactical team sits together. They think about the kind of things that they want to achieve. So if you want to, for example, if you want to monitor fire in a particular zone, you need to work it out with the team that, hey, we need to focus the field of view of our satellites on this specific region of this country. And so you need to plan out that sequence of activities that you need to perform with your satellite. And then is the C3, which is command, control, and communications architecture. So if you have a gigantic network of satellites or spacecrafts above Earth, then how do those spacecrafts interact with each other and also with the ground is something that is whole another domain of research of people like dedicatedly helping us in enabling our science, our space missions. So that kind of gives you an idea of what goes into space architecture. I'll give you some examples of our current missions that are currently in space and how they've used the technologies back in their days and how they've been helping us right now in achieving science. So I'm sure you all might have heard of the Curiosity rover. So Curiosity rover was built by JPL back in early 2000s, and it landed on Mars in 2012. And it has been operational since then. It has been given really valuable information about Mars. The Curiosity rover was not the first rover that NASA sent, but this mission actually represents a huge step in Mars exploration because, first of all, this rover was huge. It's the size of a mini car, so it's almost 1,000 kilos. And so it demonstrated our ability to land a very huge, large system on the surface of Mars. Landing on Mars is always difficult. It doesn't matter how many times you've landed on Mars. It's always a tricky element. It's always a challenging part because you don't have a real-time communication link with your rover. There's always a delay of 14 minutes. And so we call that 14 minutes the minutes of terror because you're not aware of where exactly your rover is. So Curiosity helped us in demonstrating the ability to land a very large, heavy rover on the surface of Mars. And also, not only did it demonstrate the landing, but it also demonstrated precision landing. So it helped us decide what exact area we want to land in. And we were able to achieve within the 20-kilometer radius, we were able to achieve landing within that zone. The next mission that I wanted to talk about was the Orbiting Carbon Observatory 3, or the OCO3 mission. This is one of the missions that I recently worked on. It was launched in 2019, and it's an Earth orbiter. So I'm sure all of you might have heard of the International Space Station that hovers around the Earth orbit. And that's where all the astronauts go and they conduct a lot of science experiments over there. All right, so talking about some future missions. So recently, in July 2020, we launched a successor to Curiosity rover. It's called the Mars 2020 mission. And the new rover is called the Perseverance rover. Again, a lot of similar elements. We have the heat shield that contains the descent stage and the rover. So the descent stage is really the landing system that I was talking about earlier, how it helped in lowering down the rover on Mars surface. Mars has a really thin atmosphere, so it's really hard to control the speed of landing. Because on Earth, you know how because of the thick atmosphere, we're able to have a higher success rate in terms of Earth entry and landing. But on Mars, it's difficult because you have a thinner atmosphere, and it's a little difficult to slow down your vehicle. Let's see how much time I have. All right. So I just wanted to quickly show you a quick animation of the Mars helicopter mission. So the helicopter is really a small rotorcraft. We're not making it a huge helicopter because we want to just use this helicopter as a technology demonstration right now. Another mission, future mission, is to Saturn's moon Titan. So Titan is similar to Europa. It also has oceans. And we're thinking of sending a dual quadcopter lander. So not a huge spacecraft, not a huge orbiter or a rover. We're sending a small dual quadcopter lander. Again, some of the technologies, the future technologies that will be helping in exploring the future. And then I just wanted to thank you all for giving me this time to talk to you all. Here's a picture of there's a picture from the International Space Station. The astronaut Christina actually clicked. So we sent her a picture of our team, and what she did was she placed the picture in her laptop on her tablet, And then she placed that tablet in the window of the ISS, and then she clicked a picture of all of us. So I think this was one of my favorite moments of working at JPL. It was amazing to see um, things getting full circled and things getting being actually used for human benefits. So thank you all, and glad to have you all aboard.